Welcome, dear friends. Today I'm going to tell you a compelling story about a young woman's journey from rags to riches. Enjoy the story. Jessica Reeves rushed down the gritty streets of New York City, her black boots clicking rapidly on the sidewalk. Strands of chestnut hair whipped across her face in the chilly autumn wind. She was late. Again. The clock on the bank sign blinked 7:02 a.m. Her shift cleaning the Megacorp office started at 7 o'clock sharp. Her boss, Michael, detested when the conference rooms weren't spotless before the corporate bigwigs arrived. "Move it, lady!" a burly man in a trench coat barked as Jessica squeezed past. "Sorry," she called over her shoulder, picking up the pace. She envisioned stepping off the elevator to see the suits mingling around the coffee machine, tracking their polished loafers on her freshly mopped floors. And there would be Michael, arms crossed, shaking his head in disappointment. "Miss Reeves, a word, please," Professor Danielson called as Jessica tried to slip out of Evening Econ 101. "Is everything all right?" Jessica asked nervously, approaching his desk. Between waitressing tables and cleaning, she barely had time to study. Had she failed the midterm? "On the contrary, you aced the exam. Highest marks in the class," Professor Danielson said with a smile. "I think you have real potential in business. Have you considered applying for the McConnell Scholarship? It would cover your tuition." "Wow, I'm flattered," Jessica stammered. "But I don't know. With work and taking care of my mom, I just don't think I can handle any more on my plate right now." Professor Danielson nodded sympathetically. "I understand. But don't sell yourself short, Jessica. Think about it. The deadline is next month." "Thanks, Professor. I will," Jessica said, knowing full well she couldn't afford to cut back her hours. Not with her mom's treatments. 20 years ago. "Donna, get back to work, you lazy girl!" Mr. Kowalski yelled as 17-year-old Donna Morgan hovered near the space heater in the corner of the bustling Polish market. "Yes, sir, sorry," Donna said, her teeth chattering as she hurried back to the cuts of meat on display. Her feet ached from standing on the hard linoleum floors. She envied the customers bundled in warm coats and scarves, filling their baskets with sausages, cheeses, and fresh pastries. What she wouldn't give for a steaming cup of tea and a warm bath. But there were bills to pay. She had to make rent, put food on the table, buy clothes and diapers for little Jessica. As an orphan, Donna had no family to turn to for help when Jessica's good-for-nothing father split as soon as he found out Donna was pregnant. "No daughter of mine is giving birth to a bastard child," the orphanage headmistress had screamed, tossing Donna's suitcase onto the street. "You're on your own now, Missy." Donna rubbed her aching wrists, swollen and red from hours of slicing kielbasa. "I'll make a good life for us, baby girl," she whispered. "I promise." 20 years later. "I'm home, Ma," Jessica called, stepping into the cramped studio apartment. The air smelled of menthol ointment and stale cigarettes. Donna was propped up on the threadbare couch, a knit blanket across her knees, massaging her gnarled fingers. Her once vibrant red hair had faded to a dull gray. "You're back late," Donna said wearily. "I thought you got off work at 7. "I got held up by my professor," Jessica said, setting down her backpack. "He thinks I should apply for a scholarship." Donna raised an eyebrow. "I hope you told him you need to focus on working. I don't know what I'd do without you bringing in money for my arthritis meds." "I know, Ma. I'm not going anywhere," Jessica assured her. Though sometimes, in the dark of night, she dared to dream of a different life, one not shackled by the weight of responsibility. A life of opportunity, success, fulfillment. But those were only dreams. Her reality was mopping floors and scraping by. This was her lot. She had made peace with it long ago. "Jessica, in my office now," Robert, the weaselly, brown-nosing assistant manager of Megacorp, barked. Jessica's stomach turned as she followed him in, pulling the door shut behind her. She had a bad feeling about this. Robert settled into the leather chair behind his mahogany desk, toying with an onyx pen. "It seems we had a little incident this morning," he drawled. "Didn't get the top-floor conference room cleaned in time, did we?" "I'm so sorry, it won't happen again," Jessica began. But Robert cut her off. "Michael's not pleased, and when the boss isn't happy, I'm not happy." he said with a scowl. Lucky for you, I'm feeling generous. I might be willing to smooth things over with him. For a price. Jessica's brow furrowed. What kind of price? A sly grin spread across Robert's pouched face. You have access to Michael's office in the evenings, when you clean it, he said. I need you to bring me the files in his private cabinet, locked bottom drawer. What? No, Jessica sputtered. I can't do that. It's wrong. Is it? More wrong than a single mother losing the job that keeps a roof over her sickly mom's head? Robert said silkily. Jessica paled. How did he know about her mother? Had he been snooping in her employee records? Think it over, Robert said, waving a hand dismissively. Clock's ticking. Hate to see a pretty young thing like you land on the unemployment line. Jessica stormed out in a daze. Betray her boss or risk everything? What was she going to do? From that day on, Robert made Jessica's life a living hell. Constant criticism, impossible cleaning demands, surprise inspections. She frequently arrived to find the hallways suspiciously slick with spills. The women's room mysteriously ran out of soap and paper towels daily. What's the matter, Cinderella? Can't keep up? Robert sneered as Jessica frantically scrubbed at a sticky puddle by the water cooler. Then came the pen incident. Where is it? Where's my 14-karat gold Monte Grappa fountain pen? Robert screamed, tearing through the supply closet as Jessica restocked it. I don't know, Jessica stammered. Don't play dumb with me. I know you took it, you little thief, Robert snarled. That's coming out of your paycheck. But I didn't. I swear, Jessica cried. It was no use. She knew Robert had likely pocketed the pen himself in his own suit jacket. Her job had become a waking nightmare. Every day, she dragged herself to the fluorescent-lit halls of Megacorp with a churning stomach, waiting for Robert's next attack. But what choice did she have? Donna needed her rheumatoid meds. The rent was due. She was trapped. Months passed in this special purgatory. Jessica took to arriving an hour early and leaving late to avoid Robert's wrath over imagined infractions. Exhausted, she dragged herself through classes in a fog, the scholarship essay remaining a blank document on her laptop. One quiet evening as she vacuumed the plush carpets of Michael's office, the machine snagged on the wheeled leg of his chair. Jessica yanked it free, accidentally knocking the chair into the wall. The wooden panel behind it popped open with a snap, revealing a secret compartment. What on earth? Jessica murmured, setting the vacuum aside. Tentatively, she opened the small door. Inside was a dusty tin box, like something you'd find in your grandma's attic. Jessica pulled it out, blowing off the cobwebs. Hands shaking, she pried off the lid. The box was full of yellowed love letters, tied with a faded pink ribbon, and photographs. Jessica plucked one out, squinting at it in the dim lamplight. A young couple, beaming at the camera, their arms entwined. The girl had flaming red hair and an impish grin. She looked achingly familiar. With a gasp, the photo fluttered from Jessica's fingers. Mom, she whispered. There was no mistaking it. The girl was a teenaged Donna, as Jessica had never seen her, vibrant, glowing, bursting with life and love. And the clean-cut young man beside her, gazing adoringly at her. No, it couldn't be. Michael, her boss, Michael Davenport, in the throes of a secret, passionate romance with her mother. Jessica's head spun. What did this mean? When was this? Why had neither of them ever mentioned it? Shell-shocked, Jessica carefully returned the box to its hiding place, her mind reeling. She wouldn't dare confront her proud, ailing mother with this revelation. And Michael, what could she possibly say to him? Hey, boss, I was snooping through your stuff and discovered you used to date my mom? No, this secret would stay buried, like the letters in the wall. Jessica would carry it alone, an invisible weight on her soul. But Robert, ever lurking, sensed her distress like a shark scenting blood in the water. His persecution intensified to a fever pitch, until the terrible day Jessica had been dreading finally arrived. She was scrubbing scuff marks off the baseboards when a bellow rang out. Jessica! Robert roared from the copy room. Heart pounding, Jessica grabbed her bucket and hustled in. There stood Michael and Robert, and a scene of carnage. The printer, scanner, and fax machine were all drenched, water pooling on the industrial carpet. Robert was nearly purple with rage. "I caught her red-handed, Michael," Robert shouted, jabbing a finger at Jessica. "She did this. I saw her. Probably trying to sabotage the Kowalski contract." "What? No, I didn't. I swear," Jessica cried, voice shaking. She looked desperately to Michael, but his face was set in stone. "I've given you chance after chance, Miss Reeves," Michael said in an icy tone. "Yet you continue to be unreliable, destructive, and insubordinate. I have no choice. You're fired. Clear out your locker." Jessica stood frozen, blood draining from her face. This couldn't be happening. The room seemed to tilt around her. "But please, I need this job. My mother," she pleaded. "You should have thought of that before your little vandalism spree," Robert cut in smugly. Tears blurring her eyes, Jessica turned and fled. It was over. It was all over. Numb, Jessica emptied her few belongings from her locker as curious co-workers watched. She felt their prying eyes, heard their gleeful whispers. The cleaning girl had finally gotten the axe. Good riddance. Hefting her bag, she slowly walked to Michael's office. He didn't look up as she placed her ID badge and keycard on his desk with a soft clink. Jessica paused, her hand on the doorknob. She should just go, slink away quietly with her tail between her legs. Start looking for a new job to keep Donna's medical bills paid. Accept her lot. But a small, fierce voice rose up inside her. No, not this time. She was done lying down and taking the kicks. She was going to speak her piece. Consequences be damned. Jessica turned back to face Michael, pulling herself up straight. 6 months. 6 months I've endured Robert's abuse. His threats, his sabotage. You never once asked for my side, she said, her voice trembling but defiant. I've worked myself to the bone for this company. I never complained, never slacked. I did everything I could to keep my head down and just survive. Michael slowly raised his gaze, brow furrowed. He opened his mouth, but Jessica steamrolled on. But I don't even know why I'm surprised. You're a liar too. Just like him, she said, fighting back angry tears. You sit there in your fancy office, acting like you're better than everyone, but I know your secret. She strode forward and slammed her palms down on the desk. Michael flinched back in shock. I know about you and my mother, Donna Morgan. I found the letters, Jessica said breathlessly. All these years, and you never told her you were here in the same city. She struggled and suffered while you got rich. You abandoned her. You abandoned us. Michael's face drained of color. His mouth opened and closed. Donna's your mother? He croaked. As if you didn't know, Jessica cried. What, did you get bored of her? Decided to trade her in for a cushy corner office? Was she just some slum girl you could use and throw away? No, you don't understand, Michael said hoarsely, gripping the desk. I loved your mother. I searched for her for years, but I couldn't find her. My parents, they didn't approve of the match. They sent me away and forbade me from contacting her. A wave of anguish washed over his distinguished features. He looked at Jessica through a sheen of tears. I never knew she was pregnant, he whispered. I swear to God I didn't know. You're my daughter? Jessica's heart thudded painfully against her ribs. The world seemed to sway under her feet. I don't know what I am, she said tightly, but I know I deserved better from you, and so did she. Shouldering her bag, Jessica walked out, slamming the door behind her. She left Michael staring after her, his face a mask of shock, regret, and dawning realization. Thunder rumbled ominously over the Megacorp building as Jessica descended the slick front steps, a perfect pathetic fallacy for her mood. Rain pelted her bare head and shoulders, but she didn't bother to pull up her hood. What did it matter? She was soaked to the bone already, a drowned rat running for cover. Jessica, wait! A voice called. Unbelievably, it was Michael hurrying after her, his Italian leather loafers splashing through the puddles. Jessica whirled to face him, folding her arms. Mascara ran in rivulets down her blotchy cheeks. What? What more could you possibly have to say? Want to give me a few more kicks? Just for fun? Michael skidded to a stop, panting. His tailored wool suit was getting ruined, but he didn't seem to notice or care. No, let me explain, please. Jessica gave a bitter laugh. Explain? Explain what exactly? How you seduced an orphan girl, got her pregnant, and then skipped town? Save it. You've got it wrong, Michael insisted, shaking his head vehemently. Rain plastered his silver hair to his forehead. Please come back inside. We need to talk about this. Against her better judgment, Jessica found herself trailing Michael back into the lobby, her sodden sneakers squeaking on the marble. He guided her into an empty conference room and shut the door. Michael planted his hands on the polished table, head down. He seemed to be steeling himself. Finally, he looked up at Jessica with red-rimmed eyes. I did know your mother, Donna. We met when we were just kids, he said hoarsely. It was the summer I turned 18. She had just aged out of the orphanage system. No family, no one to take her in. She was working odd jobs, barely scraping by. I know the story, Jessica said tightly. Michael sighed heavily. My parents, they're from old money, blue blood snobs. They had my whole life mapped out. Dartmouth, Harvard Law, a career in the family firm. They would never accept me being with a poor girl, an orphan. He reached into his breast pocket and pulled out a creased, faded photograph, the same one Jessica had found in his hidden letter stash. Young Donna smiled up at her, radiant in Michael's arms. But I didn't care. I was young and stupid and crazy in love, Michael said, his voice cracking. I was ready to give up everything to be with her. We made plans to run away together, start a new life. Jessica swallowed hard, her mother's face so full of hope and promise, the same face Jessica saw in her own reflection now, prematurely aged and careworn. What happened? Jessica asked, her anger giving way to a morbid curiosity. As much as she wanted to cling to her righteous outrage, she found herself desperate to know the truth. Michael settled heavily into a leather chair, his shoulders slumped as if the weight of the past 20 years pressed down upon him. He ran a hand over his face. My father was furious, he said grimly. He told me if I didn't break things off with that gold-digging hussy, he'd have me cut off without a cent. Even worse, he threatened to have Donna blacklisted from every job in the city. Jessica sucked in a sharp breath. She could only imagine proud, fiery Donna's devastation at such a cruel blow. I tried to call her bluff, told him to disown me then, that I'd rather be poor and happy with Donna than live a miserable lie, Michael continued. But he had an ace up his sleeve. Dear old Dad told me that if I didn't fall in line, he'd press statutory charges against Donna. What? Jessica sputtered. But you said you were both 18. I was, Michael said heavily. But Donna, she had lied on her orphanage paperwork, claimed she was 2 years older than she was so she could age out of the system early. On paper, in the eyes of the law, our relationship was illegal. My father had proof. Jessica felt lightheaded. Her mother threatened with prison, with complete ruin, all for the crime of falling in love, of daring to dream of a better life. It was unconscionable. So I did it, Michael whispered, his voice cracking. I broke Donna's heart to save her. I told her I was leaving town for college and I couldn't be tied down, that she was just a bit of rough trade, a summer fling. I have never hated myself more than I did in that moment. Tears slipped down his weathered cheeks. Jessica looked away, feeling like an intruder on his grief. I went off to Dartmouth, like the dutiful son I was, traded my soul for a trust fund and a corner office, Michael said bitterly. But not a day has gone by that I haven't thought of your mother, wondered what happened to her, hated myself for being a coward. He met Jessica's gaze, his blue eyes swimming with anguish and tentative hope. I swear to you, I never knew about you. If I had, he swallowed thickly, it would have changed everything. Jessica's mind reeled. Could it be true? Had her mother been lying to her all these years, hiding Michael's existence? Or had she actually believed his cruel parting words, not realizing it had all been a ploy to protect her? Only one way to find out. She needed to confront Donna, demand the truth, once and for all. I have to go, Jessica muttered, stumbling to her feet. The walls seemed to close in around her, Michael's stricken face wavering in her vision. Jessica, wait, he called, reaching for her. She wrenched away. I can't do this right now, she choked out. I need to talk to my mother. I have to go. She fled the conference room, her heart galloping in her chest. Michael's strained voice echoed after her. I'm so sorry, Jessica. Please let me make this right. Donna was waiting anxiously by the window when Jessica burst into the apartment, soaked and wild-eyed. She lurched to her feet, hissing in pain as her swollen joints protested. "Jessie, where have you been? You're drenched," she cried. "I expected you home from work hours ago." "Why didn't you tell me?" Jessica demanded, throwing her bag down. Donna blinked at her, perplexed. "Tell you what? What's going on?" she asked. "About Michael Davenport," Jessica practically shouted. "All these years you've hidden the truth, that he's my father." The color drained from Donna's lined face. She sank back onto the couch, clutching at her chest. How did you?" she whispered. "I found the letters, the photos, at his office," Jessica said tersely. She advanced on Donna, looming over her. "He's my boss, Ma. Did you know that? Did you know he was right here all this time?" "No," Donna said faintly, her hands trembling. "I swear I had no idea. I thought he was long gone." She looked up at Jessica, her eyes glassy with tears. "Oh, Jessie, my sweet girl, I'm so sorry." And it all came pouring out. The whirlwind teenage romance, the promises of forever, the shattering betrayal. By the time Donna finished, both women were openly weeping. "I truly thought he had abandoned us," Donna said brokenly. "I was so ashamed. I couldn't bear for you to know what a fool I had been. How close I came to ruining both our lives." "You should have told me," Jessica said, but her anger had ebbed, replaced by a bone-deep weariness. She slumped down beside her mother. "He wants to see you," she said quietly. "He wants to make things right with both of us." Donna pressed a hand to her mouth, a strangled sound escaping her. I don't know if I can," she said. "It's been so long, so much pain." Jessica reached out and gripped Donna's spotted, knobby fingers. "We've been alone long enough," she said softly. "Maybe it's time to stop running from the past. Maybe we deserve a second chance." The sprawling Davenport family estate loomed like a fortress of brick and ivy. Jessica felt a pang, imagining Donna, a scrappy girl of 16, standing nervously before its gates, waiting to meet Michael's parents. No wonder they had shunned her on sight. She probably still had the grime of the orphanage under her nails. Now, Jessica and Donna huddled together on the marble stoop, Jessica supporting her mother's frail weight. Donna clutched Jessica's hand in a death grip as she reached out with a trembling finger to ring the bell. The maid who answered took one look at their shabby, hopeful faces and said, "Wait here, please," before disappearing inside. Jessica's stomach churned with nerves. This was a mistake. They didn't belong here, in this world of polished silver and starched white gloves. But then, there he was. Michael stood in the foyer, not the refined executive who had fired Jessica, but a broken man seeking redemption. His eyes flicked from Jessica to Donna, and he let out a choked sob. "Donna," he said brokenly. "My God, Donna, I'm so sorry, my love, so sorry." Donna squeezed her eyes shut, tears leaking from beneath papery lids. "Michael?" she whispered, swaying on her feet. He caught her as her knees gave out, sweeping her into his arms like she weighed nothing at all. Jessica stood back, feeling like a voyeur as the long-lost lovers clung to each other, murmuring teary endearments. "I never stopped loving you," Michael vowed. "Every day, every hour, you were always in my heart." Donna pressed her face into his shoulder. "I wish I had known," she said tremulously. "All those years I was so angry, so bitter. If I had only known the truth." He stroked her hair, kissing her temple. "We'll make up for lost time," he promised. "All of us. Together." Michael turned to Jessica, his eyes shining. He reached out and clasped her hands, pulling her into their embrace. "My daughter," he said wondrously. "My beautiful, strong, incredible daughter. I am so proud of the woman you've become." Jessica choked back a sob, burying her face in his chest. For the first time in her life, enfolded in the arms of both her parents, she felt truly safe, truly home. The next morning, Jessica strode into Megacorp, head held high. The receptionist, Sasha, did a double-take as she walked by. "Jess, I heard you got canned," she sputtered. "What are you doing here?" Jessica just smirked mysteriously. "Oh, just a little restructuring in the ranks," she said. "You'll see." She rode the elevator up to the executive floor, strutting past the rows of cubicles. Her old co-workers gaped as she sailed by in the smart blazer and pencil skirt Michael had provided. No more shabby work poncho and rubber gloves. Jessica Reeves was management now. She breezed into the main conference room, where Michael and the other executives were clustered around the mahogany table. At the head of the table, Robert slouched in Michael's old seat, looking smug. But not for long. "What's she doing here?" Robert blustered as Jessica coolly claimed the chair to Michael's right. "I thought I made myself clear when I terminated her employment." "Actually, Robert, you're the one who's terminated," Michael cut in crisply. "I reviewed the security cam footage. Seems you've made quite the hobby of sabotaging and harassing my daughter, framing her for your own misconduct. Consider this your exit interview." Robert sputtered and fumed, his mottled face darkening to an ugly shade of puce. "Your daughter? What the hell are you talking about?" Michael stood and buttoned his suit jacket with deliberate slowness. He turned to address the stunned faces around the table. "I'd like you all to meet Jessica Reeves, Davenport, my child," he said clearly, "freshly promoted to junior executive and my second in command. As of today, she speaks with my full authority." Ignoring the explosion of gasps and whispers, he stepped over to a shell-shocked Robert and plucked the 14-karat gold pen from his breast pocket. "I'll take that," Michael said mildly. "I don't believe thieves get severance packages." As Robert was forcibly escorted out by security, his briefcase and framed degree dumped unceremoniously in a cardboard box, Jessica allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. She was under no illusions that her new position would be easy. Many would resent her, whisper that she hadn't earned it, that it was pure nepotism. But she would prove them wrong. She would pour all her focus, all her relentless drive into learning the business, growing the company. She knew the view from the bottom. Now, she would conquer the top, and every night she would come home to the family she had always longed for. Donna, resplendent and glowing under the care of the finest doctors Michael's money could buy. No more orphan rags for her. She would be draped in cashmere and silk. Michael, the father Jessica had dreamed of, determined to make up for 2 decades of absence with overflowing love and wisdom. Together, Jessica knew, they could weather any storm. The hard times were over now. The future stretched before them, gleaming with promise. A true riches to rags tale come full circle at last.